everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about the pelvis. There are 3 types of tilts that you need to know about. The first is an anterior pelvic tilt, which causes a curved lower back and pushes the stomach out. Number 2 is a posterior tilt, and this curves in and puts pressure on the hip flexors. And number 3 is a neutral spine, and this is exactly what we're going for. This is good. So an anterior pelvic tilt is hard on the lower back and is often due to weak abdominal muscles, weak glutes, tight hip flexors, or tight hamstrings. If you imagine an X on your body, it connects weak abdominals with weak glutes and counteracts it with tight hip flexors and tight erector spinae muscles. Now the tight muscles in the back can come from lifting too heavy, doing back squats or bent over rows. And so when that's tight, it actually pulls the pelvis forward. So what we're trying to do today is balance it out. So join me on the floor. Okay, so for this first exercise, you naturally have a little pocket of air underneath. So what I want you to do is tilt your pelvis so it's flush against the floor. No pockets, just a flat spine on the floor. You're going to bring your legs up to tabletop and your hands are going to go up. There are 2 ways to do this exercise. So the modified way is to just tap each toe at a time, keeping your stomach down and your back pressed into the floor. Now, this is the more advanced option, is alternating your hand and your foot. Now, we're going to repeat this for a set of 8, just breathing as you drop. And you can always go back to the modified version if you feel like this is too difficult. You want to imagine that your belly button is being pulled to the floor, keeping the lower abdominals as tight as you can and as flat as you can. More than anything, it is so important that you breathe. So take a breath in between each exercise and just fill your stomach every time. All right, so we're going to come up onto all fours for the next exercise. Now for this exercise, you're going to be pulling your stomach in, your belly button in toward the back of your spine. So the modified version is to come onto your knees. The advanced version is to come up onto your feet. Basically, what you want to do is you want to pull out of that pelvis, tucking it into neutral spine, flattening the stomach, and decreasing the arch in the lower back. So for the advanced option, we're just going to bring our knees in and in. Now, if you're doing this on your knees, you can come down and you're just going to hold the plank. We're going to do this for 16. You're going to exhale every time you do something difficult. So every time you bring that knee in, it's going to be an exhale, and inhale as you bring that leg back. Go ahead and just stretch it out real quick. On all fours, we're going to push up into that plank again, and we're going to walk out. All right. Now the option is for a little bit harder to go onto your elbows. It seems crazy, but on your elbows, it's a lot more difficult. So we're going to go back into our plank. Remember, you're going to breathe every single time, tucking your pelvis as you do 16 step outs. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, making sure your pelvis is still tucked. Your tailbone is not going straight to the ceiling. And we're going to rest down and we're going to stretch it out. Take a couple deep breaths before we go into the next exercise. You guys are doing awesome. So now we're going to focus on the glutes and getting them strong. So you're going to come onto your back. You are now going to press into the floor like you did before. So tilting the pelvis so that there's no air pocket beneath your spine. So with your feet hip distance apart, we're going to push up into a bridge, and you're going to tighten your glutes and your hamstrings as you push up, keeping the upper body as relaxed as possible. You're going to inhale as you go down and exhale as you press up. Now, for this exercise to actually work, you have to actively engage every muscle on its own. Pushing into your heels. Inhale as you go down, exhale as you go up. And you're still trying to press your belly button into your spine, keeping your abdominals as engaged as possible throughout this whole exercise. And you're going to do 8 of these. Now we're going to go up onto releve. Now, if this is too difficult, you can stay flat. But what we're going to do is we're just adding like 3 to 4 inches of extra height. And you're just going to do up to 8 to 10 of these, squeezing the glutes at the top, keeping the neck and the chest and the shoulders relaxed. And continue breathing. Use the glutes as you press up. And we're gonna hold this last one, squeeze it as tight as possible. Hold, hold, hold. Make sure you're breathing. Lower the heels and lower down to the floor. You guys are doing awesome. All right, so now we're gonna grab a chair. This one's a little bit too high for me, so you'll notice I'm having a little bit of trouble in this video, but this is all I had. So if you have a weight, you are more than welcome to go grab this. You can do it without one. You can use dumbbells, whatever you have on hand, or you can just do none at all. So what you're doing is you're putting your upper back on whatever you have, a chair, a bench, and what you're going to do is you're going to push your hips up to the ceiling. So you want to have a nice flat line from your chest to your knees. You can adjust as needed. So this is for your glutes. You're going to tighten your glutes, drop them, keeping your back nice and straight, and squeeze the glutes at the top. So it's kind of like the bridge that you just did, but it's a little bit more complicated because you have to make sure that you don't arch your back. It's going to be very tempting to do that. We're just going to do 8 of these, nice and slow. Inhale as you go down. Exhale as you squeeze up. Keeping your abdominals as engaged as you possibly can. Pressing up. We're going to hold this last one for a second before you drop down to the floor. Now, you can use dumbbells. They're going to set right onto the soft part of your hip, and you're going to press up with those steading right there, or you can use something like this, and this is a 15-pound bar, and I'm just going to rest that right on top of my hips. So now you're going to grab your band. Now, if you don't have a band, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You can still go through the exercises. We're actually going to go into a hip thrust, and we're going to add some movement with the legs. The band is going to add extra tension so that you can get more into those glutes. So we're going to go down, you're going to open, and then close your knees together as you raise up. You want to keep your abdominals nice and flat, your back nice and flat as you press up. The wider your feet are, the more you're going to be able to push your knees together. You're going to engage the inner thighs. So we got the outer thigh going out, the inner thigh as you press up. And I'm just holding my band in place because it was sliding around a little bit. But you want to make sure that the band stays in place. So you're actively getting the outside of your glute. And we're going to do 8, nice and slow. Inhale as you go down, exhale as you come up, squeezing the glutes every single time. Make sure you're breathing. Keep your abdominals engaged. And rest your neck a little bit more than I am doing. Now, at the bottom, we're going to add some more movement, keeping the back nice and straight. Remember, we want to tuck the pelvis in, almost going for a posterior pelvic tilt. It's going to engage the lower abdominals as well. So we're just going to open the knees and close them right at the bottom. And this is going to get the outside of those thighs. Really great exercise here. And we're going to go for 8. Hold at the bottom and pulse with your knees open, pushing into that band. Make sure you're breathing. And drop it to the bottom. That should be a really good glute exercise for you. We're going to go ahead and remove the band, and we're going to go back onto our all fours. So on all fours, we're going to just do some tilts in the spine, stretching it down, arching it up. We're going to do this about 8 times. And you're really trying to roll through that spine. You're going to exhale as you arch down, inhale as you arch up. And just go slow, moving through, stretching out those tight spine muscles. And just go slow. Move with your breath. All right, so now we're going to isolate our pelvis, which means you're going to just move your lower back. And this is going to be really difficult, especially if you have really tight muscles in your spine. But all you're doing is the same thing. You're just isolating your pelvic area. And we're going to do 8 of these as well. And you're still matching your breath. Tucking the tailbone, letting it drop. All right, so now we're going to come down. we're going to do a pelvic roll up, which is similar to the bridges, except you're going to roll through your spine instead of just lifting straight up. So you're going to go flat onto the floor, and we're going to roll all the way up as high as you can go. So your tailbone's going to come up first. We're going to roll all the way up till you can get as high as you can go. And then we're going to roll all the way down. And as you come down, the tailbone is the last to go. You're going back to neutral spine. Press the spine into the floor and roll up. And roll down. Tailbone is the last to touch. You're just going to keep doing this, taking nice deep breaths as you go. It is going to be an exercise for the glutes and the hamstrings, but it's more going to be just a rolling up and loosening of those spinal muscles. Keep going, taking deep breaths as you go. Inhale when you roll down, exhale as you roll up. We're going to do this 8 times. Now we're going to extend one leg, and we're just going to gently twist in the spine. You want to keep both shoulders on the floor and look in the opposite direction. Not everybody's knee is going to touch. I always tell my students this: don't force your knee to touch the floor. It's okay if it doesn't. All you're looking for right now is a nice twist and stretch into your spine. Slowly come center, switch legs, keeping both shoulders on the floor, gently tilt. And one leg might be a little bit more flexible than the other, so just work into your mobility. Make sure you're taking deep breaths in each stretch, and see if as you take deep breaths, you can go further into that stretch. Gently bring it back to center. And we're going to drop that leg again. Pull your right leg into your chest. And we're going to gently pull our knee to the opposite shoulder. This is going to get into that glute a little bit more. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring it back to center and gently release. Lowering your foot to the floor. Switch the legs. Pull straight towards your chest and then cross it to the opposite shoulder. If you feel a little bit of a pinching into your hip flexors, you can go back to straight up into your chest instead of crossing it over. The looser your hip flexors start to become through stretching, the less they will be able to pinch in this stretch. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sit up, and we're going to go into a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to start standing, and we're going to go into a stretch with some mobility work. So you're going to stand wide leg stance, kind of in like a lunge, but you're not bending the back leg. You want to tuck the pelvis, so you're going to start to feel a stretch in the front of the hip flexor of the back leg. You're just going to hold it here for a few seconds, taking nice deep breaths. You're going to move around so that you really want to feel that stretch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add some movement. So you're rocking your hips up and down, and we're going to do this 10 times. Up and down. Adding movement into the hip flexor. Kind of like a hip shimmy. Taking breaths as you go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull up, and we're going to stretch toward the back leg, getting a little bit of a twist at the same time. And then we're going to stretch away. Let's go ahead and switch legs. You're going to go for the same thing. Get into a nice comfortable position. Tuck your pelvis. Feel that stretch already. Hold for a few seconds. And then when you're ready, we're going to start with our hip rocks. So we're going to bring hip up and up, alternating for 10. The great thing about moving into your stretches and not doing dynamic stretches all the time, static stretches, is that static stretches can tend to lengthen a little bit too much. But you want some more dynamic stretches so that you can have more mobility as well as flexibility, because your flexibility comes from mobility. All right, so we're going to do this exact same thing, but we're going to do it on your knee. Now, I would recommend putting a towel or something soft under your knee if this is uncomfortable. You're tucking your pelvis. You should already feel the stretch in the front of your leg. And you're just going to sit into it until it's a really comfortable stretch. If your hip flexors are tight, you may not be able to move very far. If they're a little bit looser like mine, you're going to sit a little bit further into the stretch. So it just depends on how tight you are. And then we're going to rock up and down 10 times. This is also going to engage your abdominals too. So make sure your abdominals are pulled in and make sure you're breathing. And we're going to bring it into a stretch. And you only hold your stretches for about 8 to 10 seconds. We're going to go ahead and switch legs. Tuck your pelvis. Sit into your stretch. Pulling up as you sit here. You don't want to arch forward at all. And then after your 8 to 10 seconds, we're going to lift those hips, alternating 10 times. And remember, you want to work with your body. It may not move the same as mine, and that is okay. It's going to get looser the more you do these stretches and exercises. And no two sides are alike, so you might go deeper into a stretch on one side than the other. That is okay. But you always want to stretch and exercise both sides at the same time. Take deep breaths. And now your hip flexor should feel a little bit looser. Shake it all out. Make sure you're getting all the movement into those hips. And hopefully, as you do this consistently, you will start to get more of a neutral spine when you're standing instead of crunching and tightening in the abdominal area. So I hope you guys feel great. Join me for my next video.